All right. Thanks for starting the recording, Claudia. So just a brief recap for the recording. We had a bit of an ad hoc discussion around, do we want to have the PGB calls? Do we want to continue to have the PGB calls monthly, or do we want to perhaps move to more of a quarterly cadence? And also in tandem, do a very targeted reach out to all of the PGB members to try to select a meeting time, perhaps 2 times, that would work for all members, because we want to move to a mandatory attendance format. And hopefully a quarterly mandatory attendance should be something that everyone can do, especially if we do 2 of them, to handle different parts of the globe. So I think that's the discussion. And I don't know if anybody else has any final thoughts. I guess we can mail that out to the mailing list for comments, but I think it's a good idea. And then Claudia can kind of poll the members to try to find a time of the week that works for North America, and then another time that works for Europe and Australia.
Yep, I'm taking notes as well.
All right, so that's item on the agenda around the PGB meetings. Next major item that for discussion, I need to announce to the members that I am leaving IBM. Today is actually my formal last day at IBM Security. So I want to introduce a couple of different points related to that. First of all, I want to introduce Rich Teljahan. Rich is here on the call. For those who don't know Rich, he was instrumental in the forming of the Open Cybersecurity Alliance 3 years ago. He's going to be an excellent PGB rep, and the new rep for IBM. Rose, who I'm sure you're all familiar with, is actually on Rich's team. And I don't know, Rich, if you want to say another couple words to introduce yourself, and then I'll kind of explain what I'm doing and what we're going to do.
Yeah, just again to those I haven't met in person, great to get connected. I'm really looking forward to taking a more active role. I've been involved in some behind the scenes stuff, helping Carol at Point with some recruiting efforts in the past, and I've been involved in some other standards initiatives, and yeah, some of my past life DNA goes way back to the kind of AT&T and Sun versus the world Unix open foundation-y kind of stuff. And so I've been around the world, IETFs, things like that. So yeah, really looking forward to it. This is an important organization for IBM Security, and yeah, excited to getting back more involved day to day.
Thanks, Rich. So what about myself? What am I doing? So I'm going to be joining the OCA for now under my own company, so I can maintain my membership. I just got the legal stuff kind of wrapped up a couple of days ago, so I have my own bank account, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm going to be working with the Oasis staff to do that. My information from Chet is that I have a small grace period with which I can get that in order. But reflecting on the fact that I'm resigning, I thought that it was prudent and best. The best thing to do is that we should call a new election for the chair. So we're going to be doing that. At the conclusion of this meeting, we'll send out a call for nominations for PGB chair of the OCA. And I'll definitely throw my own hat in the ring, but any others are more than welcome to throw their hat in the ring as well. And yeah, we'll take it from there and run another election. You know, so I'm not sure, you know, Mark, Rich, anybody have any comments on that? Or thoughts?
No, I think it's the right thing to do, as you state. You know, you're been in the role and changing affiliations and things like that. So it feels like the right process stuff.
Yeah, nothing else to add from my perspective. I've obviously done this myself not too long ago, and currently am a member of the OCA under my own company. So yeah.
All right. Well, you know, I'll get that process started. We'll get that process started right after the conclusion of this meeting. So I think what we'll do is that, you know, there's a bunch of different things we need to summarize here. So we'll write up a big, long summary email with all of the different talking points we're going through here today and send those out to the membership. All right. So the next major thing on the agenda was a couple of updates on a couple of different events. One is around Black Hat USA, and then the second is around the Oasis Borderless Cyber Conference. And we have Jane here, and she's going to take us through those. So Jane, do you want to take us away on
Sure, absolutely. So first up is Black Hat, and I wanted to make sure everybody was aware that we do have a complimentary booth, and this year it will be actually on the show floor. Last year when they gave us a space, it was sort of in that hallway. I mean, we got a lot of traffic, which was great. However, this time they decided to move all of the partners down onto the show floor. So I'm excited to see if that brings us even more traffic. I felt last year was pretty good, but this year, you know, I have high hopes that we'll get some serious traffic. OCA certainly is a big topic that we will be promoting during Black Hat. There's a couple different things. Right now, I'm kind of looking at what our, you know, graphics will look like. We don't have a big fancy booth, as everyone, I know Jason and Mark, you guys were there last year. But we do want to have a couple roll-ups at the minimum. So I wanted to just share my screen and remind you all what we had last time. And then maybe you could give me some, you know, hey, thumbs up. I think we need to change it. Obviously, they do need changing. So these are not the graphics we're going with specifically, but I really do, in particular, like the one that hopefully you're seeing right now. Do you see the one roll up?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I like that one as well.
Yeah, what was really great about that, and I think we can even do better. So I do need some help from you all to make sure the pieces are at least somewhat making sense. But I think it's really great that, you know, as you can see, you have several of the OCA projects in here and where they kind of land. And of course, there's a million different scenarios, but this at least gives folks you know, some sense of it. And then of course we have all the complementary work, you know, that is on the TC side that we're trying to integrate and make sense of as well. So I guess first, I mean, do you think we should kind of go back and kind of update this and maybe, you know, and secondly, do I have anyone on the call that might be willing to help? Duncan's away, so Duncan will help when he gets back. And we do have a few weeks. This is not something that has to be turned around. I would like to know what we're going to put on our banners by August 1st. So that's my goal. So anyway, I'll stop talking about this one.
I'm not totally sure how much update it needs, but I'll definitely, so I'll throw my hat in the ring to help Jane. I'm going to have lots of time starting.
Okay.
So
okay, great.
yeah, I will definitely help you. next week on this. Just let me know what you want me what to do, and I'll do it.
Great.
And
That sounds great.
Yeah, so question, are you looking, I'm assuming, Jane, are you looking for graphics help as well, or just kind of content tweaking,
I
little
mean,
updates?
we would not say no to an offering of someone who's a professional graphic designer. We typically outsource it to groups like Fiverr, and you get what you pay for sometimes. So,
I might be
again,
I'll look and see if I might be able to get some help on, if you have the original source files.
I do. I
not
have
that
all
it-
the original.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it looks good, but I always, if you get the right professional doing things, sometimes you can be surprised at the results. So I might be able to help with that. Also,
That would be great.
okay, so also with Kestrel, should that also be labeled as OCA Kestrel?
Yeah, I mean, right now it has its own logo, and I mean,
Right.
that's one of the things that I would love the marketing group, but within OCA to make sure that the branding is proper on each of these logos. So OCA should appear either in words or in a logo somewhere with those logos. But that takes redesigning of all of them. And we don't have one for Pace or Stick Shifter,
Well, we do. No, what I was going to suggest is, if we're trying to help promote, Oasis and OCA both, that we should do ones like OCA Stick Shifter, have the correct colors and logo for OCA, and then specify which standard it is, and have OCA appearing in multiple places with the technology name underneath. I think that helps visually reinforce, the importance and the growing coverage of OCA.
Agree. We can easily have that done. And I think, right now you can see that Stick Shifter it's kind of, I think we can enhance that so that it be more clear as well.
Yep.
I would offer an alternative that I think the title and the header of the banner itself, we could put Oasis Open and OCA somewhere up there, and then leave OCA out of the individual project names so that it's not repetitive everywhere. I think that's an important distinction.
Okay, yeah. So if we have that's actually not a bad idea too. If we're not hung up on which pieces, we can always explain later which parts are OCA as well. But no, I like that idea. Oasis Open and Open Cybersecurity Alliance at the top. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's Black Hat. Like OCA is the pointy tip of the spear, from a cybersecurity perspective for Oasis, and we're all one big family. So I think,
I like
distinguishing between different projects or who owns what, is nuance.
Yeah. You know what? I think I've got somebody who'd be glad to take a crack at it. And is this format specifically for like a big stand-up banner? Is that why it's this size?
Yeah, so it's a roll-up banner that's 32 inches wide and 80 some inches tall. So it's like your standard roll-up.
We probably have somewhere in the archives a picture of the banner. I'm sure we took a picture.
I do. I'll send you that, Rich, so that you have.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that you have a sense of how it's sort of laid out. We did couple it with this one as well. Hold on. Can you see this one? And that sort of highlighted more the projects that we have under Oasis, and then obviously some of our sponsor level members. So that was the other one. We're still toying whether we're going to go with this type of a layout, or if we're going to have one that just is focused on the projects themselves and describes the projects and not necessarily the members. So I'm open to thoughts if you guys have any on that. Okay, barring none, we'll come up with an idea and toss it out to everyone and see if they're up for it. Okay, and then as far as collateral, Jason, I know that I you volunteered already to help with that. Maybe we'll brainstorm about what we can bring. Jason has also kindly agreed to help us staff the booth, which is hooray, thank you. So we'll work on that. And because we do want to have at the minimum, maybe a QR code that takes folks, or maybe I had little business cards, something nice and easy, small, that someone could take away and it could take them directly. Maybe there's a new initiative within OCA that you're thinking about. We'll talk all about that. Hopefully
And
that makes sense.
A comment or suggestion here.
Sure.
Does it make sense to include a link to the project if it has a session? For example, we have a Kestrel session this year. Does it make sense to include the link in the in the entire picture, so that if someone people, when they stand by, they can get an idea. Oh, if they want to know more about one of the projects, they can go to the session.
Absolutely. Actually, send me that. I wasn't aware that Kestrel was on the agenda, so send me the details. We'll start promoting it now, and then also in the booth we can have information about it, and that way you know, we can promote it on site as well.
So Jane, this is just as just so I understand, again, I wasn't at Black Hat last year, so this year, I'm sorry, I kind of missed the details between last year and this year. This year there is an Oasis booth, or is there is not an Oasis booth, and where is the banner going to reside this year?
So we do have an Oasis booth. The difference this year is that we are on the show floor with the rest of the exhibitors. Which
to me seems like, yeah, why would you not want to be there?
Yeah, no, 100%. So yeah, I'm hopeful that we're going to get even more traffic than we did last year.
Last year, were you like upstairs in the hallway, kind of between the conference sessions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
I mean, we still had a lot of traffic.
You there, right? People can find you there, but yeah.
In a way, so yeah. I mean, it's kind of interesting. It'll be interesting to see, because I actually found last year it was kind of a nice spot because you had to walk by almost all the time. Whereas, you know, I don't know where they have us this year, Jane, but I feel like out on the periphery somewhere, you know. Anyway, it'll be interesting to see up there. I found last year wasn't bad at all, but that's just me.
Do you have do you have a floor map also where we're at, or is that public already? Like they do at RSA?
We should be on the online one. They sent me one, so I can share that one. If not, I haven't checked actually on their website, but I'll do that and flag it, and I can send it to the PGB.
And are you looking for staffing help from member companies? Have you already talked about that in the marketing thread, and I haven't been aware of it?
No, you know, so it's a 10 by 10 booth, so it's small. Carol and I will be there from Oasis. Jason has agreed to kindly help us. We do have a couple extra passes, so I will be sending that information out to the group. And if anyone would like to, you know, pick up one of the, you know, exhibitor passes, that I'd be happy to recruit them for help.
Cool. And so those are the passes that just go for like the expo, what they call the business hall. Yeah. Got it. Cool.
Yes. So yeah, more information on that. We do, as a partner of Black Hat, we do get a discount. So if you are attending, use our code and you get a $200 discount. So don't forget to do that.
Cool. Yeah, as of now, I think it's been back and forth. As of now, I think Rose and I are probably both planning to be there. And so
great.
IBM is also a sponsor, but it's primarily, the booth is primarily driven around X-Force services, threat intel. That's kind of they're doing this year. They're kind of doing a theme per show, focusing on different parts of the company. But anyway.
Gotcha.
Good.
Absolutely. Okay. And then I wanted to quickly mention Borderless Cyber. We do have that in September. It is coming up, but we've got a couple months beforehand. I am in talks with Mark about potentially doing a OCA related presentation on it. We do have Charlie Frick, who's going to be talking about IOB on the program. So I encourage you all, let me just, I've got this up, but I've got the back end up too. So bear with me 1 second. I'll put it in the chat box so that you guys can take a look at the program. We have the program up. We're still filling just a couple, like 2 different spots there. And I'm hoping Mark will take up one of those. And then, but we do have, you know, a pretty cool agenda running. It is in a really interesting location. It's about 15 minutes from Heathrow. I know we have OCA members in Europe, so maybe it's a way that we can get some of those folks there where they can, you know, bond with one another. So, you know, if you have any recommendations on how we might, you know, attempt to do that, I'm certainly open. We would love if OCA would, you know, all of you members would help us promote the event. The registration, it's, you know, it's a nonprofit event, so it's a very mild just to cover the expenses that are the per person expenses. We do have some on-campus housing, also some area hotel housing, everything's sort of within walking distance. So it's in a really great location. I hope everyone here considers possibly attending. And if you have any questions about the event, just let me know. And I'm here to answer those. And again, we have quite a bit of exposure for a lot of our different standards and our open projects on the program, to include our new disinformation one that's coming on board. So please be on the lookout for all that. And I'm, again, happy to answer any questions you might have. But by all means, let me know.
Awesome stuff, Jane. Thanks.
All right. Yep. I'm not sure if so the other main item that we had in the agenda was the updated proposal to OCA governance that Claudia had circulated, and there's been some discussion on the mailing list, but I didn't know, Claudia, if you wanted to go over any of that here today. You know, like, oh,
I don't know what happened just there. I didn't do anything.
Sorry, that was me. I was trying to close the chat box and I hit the wrong button.
Okay.
Did that restart? Did that reset everything?
Yeah,
or will
I restarted it. Yep.
it restarted? Okay, I think you'll edit them together. Well, anyway.
I think it just paused it. I don't think it stopped it. I think it just paused it.
Yeah, it said it restarted, so it should be okay.
Okay, good. Did you want to, Claudia, go over, you know, for the folks watching the video, anything about the governance proposals?
I can, so yes, I can briefly mention that this has been in the works for over a year, actually, I think, because if I remember it correctly, and Chad, correct me if I'm wrong, I think we were tasked, or Chad was tasked with proposing an update to the governance document, the governance for OCA, because we have de facto processes like how to onboard new working groups and so on, but this has not been documented officially yet. So so the governance is definitely due for an update.
And Claudia, let me just fill in a little bit of that history.
Go ahead.
So this was back when, first of all, Duncan was unhappy with the language and the descriptions and wanted some way to distinguish between sub-projects of the OCA versus the OCA project itself. And that led to a discussion about, well, what we'd like to do would be to have some unofficial, lightweight way of letting a group basically brainstorm. and there was nothing in the rules that would allow for something that was not covered by the by the CLAs or the ICLAs, and so that was perceived to be blocking people from getting engaged in conversation. So I volunteered to write up a process by which an unofficial working group could be established and possibly transition to a proper sub-project of the OCA if it wanted to. And so that's that rather long green section that's down towards the end. But that was the purpose, was to try to make it possible for a lightweight group, which was starting to happen anyhow. But I came in and pointed out that, these groups were all starting up in this repository that didn't have any license at all and was, just was sort of outside of the rules. So that was why that information was, why that section was drafted, was to give you all a way to do that. And then I think maybe folks just thought, oh, well, that's done, but it never was reviewed and approved. So sorry, I just wanted to add that history.
Thank you. Exactly. And so there's this Google Doc, which has been shared with the PGB members. And there are a couple of open comments from various people that we need to resolve at some point. And I was talking to Chet about this yesterday, and we think the best way would be to have a dedicated meeting of the PGB to resolve this, because most of the things are actually, that's your decision basically, because it's the governance for the OCA OASIS Open Project, but and for us, we will make sure that it doesn't violate any of the OASIS Open Project rules. But other than that, it's up to the PGB to actually decide if you want to adopt these changes and if resolve the open comments that are on the Google Doc. Does that make sense to you?
It makes sense to me. Sure, if anybody else.
Nope, all good.
So I think I would suggest, and I wrote an email to the PGB mailing list yesterday saying something similar, that you should schedule a dedicated meeting just to work through this document, because I think that's the fastest way to actually resolve that.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to do that. I unfortunately.
Well, just to be clear, sorry, Jason, just to be clear, the reason we're asking you to do it is that it's your governance, right? It's your set of rules. We've made proposed language, and we've confirmed that we're happy with all of it, but we can't go through and resolve all that, and just add it in, because somebody on the PGB might later say, hey, I never agreed to that. It really is your document, and you all should make the final decisions on what goes into it.
Yeah, I just know it's probably going to be a struggle to get the quorum together, so we'll have to take that action, set up a dedicated session to go through it and give an update, basically merge it all in and create a final copy that can get voted on. That's essentially what we're going to have to do. I think it's probably just going to be a small team of people that's doing that, though.
Maybe what you could do would be to open issues, because it's a distinct set of edits, right? It's a fairly the edits that are there are fairly compact and collaborated. So maybe you could open a series of issues, use the issues for discussion and approval, and then ask for thumbs up, thumbs down, or something like that, so that people could go through and indicate whether they support a change or not. That might be one way to get through it.
I'm not sure if everyone has a GitHub account on the PGB. So I don't know if that's easier or if the Google Doc is easier or better accessible to everyone.
Good point.
I'm not sure either. Well,
here's another idea. We could produce a red line copy of the of the proposal. Basically, take the Google Doc, produce a red line copy that would show what the final document is going to be, and then you could put that out for a ballot. I think the only trick would be if somebody says, "Well, I'm fine with everything except this one issue." You know, that's what would make approving the whole document possibly possibly complicated. But if you could get a red line copy and then everybody could just go through it and say, "Yep, I'm fine with that," and sign off on the whole document, then you could get it through the approval process.
I think probably, given the folks, I think that it's probably easier to get people to use Google Docs and GitHub.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
It's just, I think it's probably better, and I you know, so let's go with that approach for now. That's what I would suggest. Because I most of the PGB folks are not developers.
Yeah, exactly. So do you want to schedule a dedicated session then?
Yes.
Okay.
Let's try to do it like over the next like 1 to 2 weeks. Like
Yep.
I don't know when Duncan's back from his ship, but we should try to do it like right after that.
Yep.
And maybe we can do it, you know, if we either do it very early, like if we do it very early in the day, we might be able to get folks in Australia. I'm not sure. I don't know.
It has to be, I think it needs to be later in the day for if you're US based, right?
You either need really, yeah.
It needs to be like late afternoon or something, because I remember when I was in New Zealand, I had very early morning meetings while I was there, and I think for Chet and Carol it was like 5 p.m. or something like that.
Essentially the exact opposite, right? So Melbourne and Sydney are the exact opposite from my time zone. I know, like I can tell you, it's exactly 12 hours.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm checking. It's if it's noon in Boston, it's 8 a.m. in Melbourne.
Yeah. So
that would be a probably like noon, or I don't know.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, sorry, not noon. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm confused now. So I'm tired because it's no, sorry, 6 p.m. Boston is 8 a.m. in Melbourne.
Right.
That's right. Exactly. So now I'm like, sorry, I was just got confused about like my time zone. So 6 p.m. Boston is 8 a.m. in Melbourne.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm good with late evening, 7 p.m. my time. Or whatever.
I could do that time. I don't know how some others on the East Coast might feel about that time, but it would work for me. But
or 7 your time, Jason.
Especially since it's just a one-time meeting. Yeah, 7 my time is fine. Especially since it's just a one-time event. No problem. So if we want to try for that time next week on Sunday, I'm fine with that.
What's your time zone again, Jason? Or you'll send out an email anyway to ask people?
Yeah, I'll send out an email.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. Okay.
That's great.
All right. I think that was the last main agenda topic. Did anyone have any other business? Well, Xiaoqui, did you have any TSC business that you wanted to raise?
Not at this time. So, but one thing I want to get a little bit more clearer, if possible, is we may need to check the status of each of the projects and which are active and which we need to get involvement during the TSC monthly meeting. That is something I started to push a little bit from the beginning of the year. So especially for the some of the early OCA projects, if we can get more information while they are still active and we can get a representative, that will be great.
Okay, is that something, are you saying that that's something that you're doing or something you're asking for help on, or?
Yeah, this is something I need to ask for help because I have no idea with some of the early projects who maybe there still are the representatives of the projects. Yeah, we can contact.
Yeah, there was a similar question, I think, by Chet about, are some of these projects, inactive now? The ontology and the architecture one were the two specifically.
Oh, yeah, that was me actually. I think
was that you?
Chet also asked about this, and I think that's also something that should be in the governance document, like a process. What do we do? And I added a section on that there as well.
The ontology one is kind of different with respect to, I would say the ontology one is now superseded by OXA, and OXA is taking over the mission. Right. So how we want to wind that down and claim that to me is what's going on there. Well, actually, that's not totally true. Sorry, that's not true. Because ontology had gone down a different path for a while. I mean, the reality is ontology is on pause. Architecture kind of completed its work in a way. They created some of those referent architectures and for Zero Trust, and we lost the main person that was driving that was from VMware, and he left, who was the most interested in that whole group, and we kind of lost all the momentum after that. So what do we want to do about those? I would agree that they're paused, at least for the moment. I think there's some good work from them though, so I don't think we want to get rid of that work.
I see.
I don't know how we.
Well, we're putting up a new OXA repo and project, right?
Yeah.
I think it might make sense for architecture to be superseded by OXA more so than ontology. And
yeah, I agree with
that. So that could get rolled into the OXA, just be an archive for the assets that were created. And I mean, in the kind of open sphere, I don't think we don't delete things, right?
No, it would
just
be
archive it.
Archive it, yeah, have a public archive of the repository.
I just want to make sure it's still very obviously available. I don't know if I want it archived away. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or maybe we archive in name only versus burying it.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for the information, Jason. And one more specific question. For PACE, have we decided who may be the best technical representative for it?
What was the question? Sorry.
For PACE, I think we were discussing through emails for the last few months, but we may not reach a decision or have not reached an answer that who may be the best person as a representative for PACE.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a good question as well. I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
Like that project is in kind of a weird state, right? And we need to find out what's going on with it, because so here's what's weird about PACE is there's a whole bunch of like PACE related activity going on, but it's all being done under the Open C2 TC.
Yes.
And I don't know what to, I don't know what to do about that or what to make of that, like, from an OASIS perspective. So I think we've got to kind of have that conversation at some, so yeah, I sorry, Jacques, I don't really know how to answer your question.
But okay. I see. So from the OC point of view, I will start to have everyone else, especially the new project, starting to discuss the OC-wide project guideline, or resuming discussing that from this month's TSC meeting. That is one of the important things that we nearly get it, but we still need to kind of get everyone read it, everyone kind of revise a little bit if there is anything we need to do. But we have generally agreed on the basic things about the guideline for all the projects. Yeah. But I think even that you may not able to answer the question perfectly, but I think that's enough information that I know what to do there. Yeah. And for PACE, I think that raises another question that we may think about another type of collaboration, not only the collaboration within OCA sub-projects, that we have a lot of very good synergies between different projects and technical discussions, as well as roadmap discussions and things and so on, but also PACE creates an opportunity for us to go between different OASIS projects like OpenC2 and Kestrel. So we may need to think about maybe ways to formalize it, or I'm not sure if there's anything else we need to do besides just letting things grow naturally.
All right. Thanks, Xiaoquei. So I'm not sure if anyone had anything else for the call today. I unfortunately have to drop here in the next couple of minutes.
Just very briefly, I had a maybe on OXA. I had a call with David earlier this week, and so he's been very busy. I've been annoying him to finally get started and do a meeting and so on. But so now what we've discussed now is that he said he would be able to make a first contribution to the existing OXA repository that I've set up for the project by the end of this month. And then in August, because we figured many people will actually be on vacation, we didn't say it doesn't make much sense to have a meeting in August. First, like a kickoff meeting for the work, but that we would communicate, that there's this repository and the mailing list and so on, and kind of make people aware that this project exists outside of the PGB, and then schedule a first meeting for September. So so there's something happening there.
Also, Claudia, we're going to talk with him this month on a community chat, so we can kind of hype that up a bit too.
Yes.
And talk about that's coming, and try to get, that he's going to be posting by the end of the month and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting project. Like, we've got to figure out how to create a little bit of, I don't know, like a 1 or 2 pager about it type of thing to get people excited on LinkedIn. It's going to be a good one. I have to drop, guys. Got got something going on here. But I'll hand the mic over to Mark to wrap up the call.
Thank you,
Thanks, everyone.
Jason.
Thanks,
Sorry about
Jason.
that, Mark. Bye.
All good. Yeah, so I mean, I think we've covered everything. Nothing else for me. I think we've started touching on something I've brought up a long time ago, though, that we can't cover on today's call. And that would be to figure out how to formalize, bringing OpenC2 and some of the other cybersecurity related projects that are outside of OCA more formally, figuring out some sort of relationship there, or rolling them under OCA potentially. But I think that's a much broader discussion.
Mark, do you think that that there's mutual interest?
Not sure, to be honest. I mean, I think Duncan could certainly give great perspective on that. I mean, there's certainly evidence of interest and collaboration and like the automation workshop. Some of those things. I think it naturally makes sense. I don't know all of the stakeholders in those other groups, though, as well as Jason and Duncan would, or you all for that matter. So maybe that's something that, Chet, Claudia, other Oasis staff could, float and have kind of side conversations about. I think there's got to be a benefit. Certainly technologically, it makes sense to me.
Okay, well, we'll see if we can't have some initial conversations. The first thing that occurs to me is that we could look at setting up formal liaisons between OCA and the OpenC2 project for the purposes of synchronizing stuff and finding synergies. So we can look into that, and that's a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, OXA is a perfect example, right, of bringing together, we can have a bunch of different standards, but each of them separate does not bring together, a working reference architecture. So, I think it's worth a follow-up.
Okay, well, Claudia and I will start a conversation on that.
Awesome. Well, yeah, nothing else for me. I think, Jason wrapped it up, but formally we could say that we're adjourning.